Many thanks for staying with us. You're still watching NAMIBIA Connects with me, Ndishishi Mfungu. Of course, we discuss regional matters here this morning. About a week and a half ago, the regional governor of the Omaheke region, that's beyond Ganate, delivered his State of the Region address accounting for developmental matters, during the 2023-2024 financial year. Of course, we know that the Omaheke region right now is plagued with an ongoing drought as well as issues of malnutrition. The governor is here in studio this morning to give us an update of these matters and how his office is addressing them. Governor Ganate, always a pleasure. Very good morning to you and welcome to NAMIBIA Connects.
Good morning, Hafungu. Always a pleasure being in the presence of young, energetic men and women of our country, future leaders.
Thank you so much, Governor. Always a pleasure having you here. As I rightfully mentioned, of course, a week and a half ago, you delivered your last State of the Region address. Just reflecting on that moment and going back to some of those highlights. How do you reflect on
Thank you very much. I'm very careful about last. I may end up firing myself before time. But technically, it's my last State of the Region address. It has been a journey that was not so smooth, but a journey that needed to be traveled. And God, in His own wisdom, chose me to travel that journey during the time of COVID, time of drought, and now malnutrition. But in the middle of that, a lot of development as well.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of those developments. We know that a lot is happening in the Omaheke region. What do you underscore as some of the major capital projects that are currently contributing and will contribute to the coffers of the region?
No, quite a number of developments are taking place. We have this exciting intervention between our government and Botswana, where we're now traveling with an ID, the 24-hour service at the border, and soon we'll be introducing the one-stop border post. Currently, there's about 400 to 500 trucks daily traveling between Hobabas and the border post. So all those developments are very welcome, and new houses that have come up in a very short time at Beta Post, over 100 houses. New businesses that have come up in town. When I became governor, I said the economy is skew and that the town was not colored enough. But now you see a lot of people of color coming also to the fore, opening up businesses. One such business will be opened also on Friday. And that could be the place to be in terms of your eatery and socialization. So a number of people heeded to that call. New businesses have come up, new bed and breakfasts. New people have entered the space of tourism.
It's almost impossible to find accommodation
in
the region these days.
Accommodation is still a problem. Accommodation, as much as there are new accommodation facilities, we are still overwhelmed with accommodations. But it also gives the individual the opportunity to rent out a room or two there, and we have seen it with the Namibia Newspaper Cup, that quite a number of people have made good money, and also with the municipal games. They were also hosted in Hobabas, and people will not come host events if a town is dormant and if nothing is happening.
Absolutely.
In terms of facilities, hospital facilities, quite a lot of new clinics have been renovated or constructed, and the ICU hospital division in our hospital is under construction. During COVID, we had issues of oxygen that was in short supply. We have new oxygen machines and so on, and oxygen tanks that have been set up at the hospital. So quite a number of development have come. A new mall that have been opened in Hobabas, and another one is under construction in Epako, classrooms, 24 classrooms in the period of last year, and now we're busy with new classrooms being added to schools.
Fantastic stuff. Quite a lot of developments happening there, Governor. Certainly having major impact on the citizens, on the residents of the region there. We know that the Omaheke region is also known as, the cattle hub of the country, of course. Major agricultural potential there. How is that industry doing under the current times here?
Yeah, no, the Omaheke region is known as the cattle country, and the other day I received a call from Hippie Shivikwa while in Botswana with the Trans-Corridor Group meetings, and where people were saying, hey, please call the governor and advise him to put the bull at every entrance of Hobabas or the region, and which I think is something that we highly consider. so that we really become the cattle country.
Yeah.
But cattle country without an abattoir is still a problem, and I know there are discussions underway, and hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, the Vetflay abattoir might be opened.
Yes.
The feedlot have opened, that have been not in operation for some time.
Yeah.
And those are some of the progressive developments, and we are looking at the issue of diversification also, so that we do not only depend on cattle or small livestock, but also look at things like crop production, and which is very much promising. It's booming like nobody's business.
Fantastic. Obviously, the prevailing drought situation poses a serious threat to, this title of the cattle country. It poses a serious threat to these industries of livestock, be it big or small, or crop agriculture. How big of a concern is it for you right now, and where are we as far as addressing the drought situation in that?
Yeah, no, the drought is severe, especially in Omaheke. We have seen so many kraals closing down. Reduction in livestock have happened in Omaheke, and we need to basically come to the drawing board and say, what is it that we can do in terms of drought? We cannot act as if we are being surprised or shocked by drought. We must plan.
Exactly.
And we are talking to partners in South Africa from the DSM, and they were saying that they will send us some expertise so that they can also prepare us in terms of prediction, in terms of what type of season to expect.
Yes.
But then also, we cannot only depend, for example, on water out of the skies, but there is a lot of underground water that we must also capitalize and embark upon things like lucerne plantations, and so that we can create our own feed for our animals as well.
We know that the government has made several major interventions as far as drought relief food, the provision thereof, as far as subsidizing, be it feed, be it the sale of certain livestock, etc. Talk to us about how these interventions have helped farmers on the ground and really, made the situation a bit less worse.
No, I must applaud government, and although I'm applauding myself in the same time, being government, but honestly, we have a caring government, a government that is having a listening ear. Last year, December, we requested for a meeting with the Prime Minister, and we sat with the Prime Minister and various EDs, and we said, this is what we want for Omaheke. We said we want leeks, we said we want fodder, and those recommendations were really taken to heart, and today they are incorporated. And also the issue of terms of transportation, if you transport your cattle from one drought area to another. But then there's still a little bit of challenges. There is that woman or men with only 2 cows, we cannot transport them. And I'm happy that government is at least now giving leeks to them and some fodder. So in terms of drought intervention, government have really gone out of the way. Of course, a few challenges in terms of payouts that are maybe not happening in time. And also recently we discussed with the Minister of Agriculture to waive the portion that the farmer should pay, and that government only pay each 50%, and then the farmer is then relieved from contributing a 50%, because the 50% denied the farmer from participating in these schemes.
Very much. Of course, in times like this, there's a lot of conversation around, encouraging farmers to destock as well. And I know that perhaps for pride, we'd like to keep our livestock. I'd like to brag to, of course, Governor Ganati and say, listen, I have 500 heads of cattle in my kraal. But in times like this, where you don't have an abattoir, for instance, a prevailing drought situation, government is trying its best to meet, farmers halfway, but of course government cannot do everything as well. What is the conversation on the ground right now? I've seen you've had engagements with the Agriculture Minister, Kale Schledva, and you've had some visits around the region as well. What is the advice? What is the conversations around destocking and perhaps coming down to a more manageable, number of livestock, etc.?
No, you are right there. Of course, Omaheke is having quite a number of areas that are overpopulated. In terms of not only human population, but also livestock, areas like the former 3 second-tier governments, farms like Vergenoeg, Blouberg, Gensbokfontein, Chaka, and even Aminus itself that need expansion. But as you say, there is the normal way how we used to do things, and we need to embark on the new normal. The new normal is that the population is growing, but land is not growing. And definitely with the population that is growing and land not growing, we need to have a paradigm shift. Our way of doing things must totally change. So we can farm intensively, more intensively, concentrate more on quality as opposed to quantity, and definitely farmers need to adhere to this. It's adherence, it's adapting, otherwise you will face the consequences.
Very much indeed.
So, but it takes time, especially the older generation, to make them understand. But the younger generation, they understand this. And the other issue is that we have to produce our own feed for our animals. We cannot depend forever on outside supply from South Africa and so on. But we need to make do with what we have and really need to scale down also on the number of cattle we have so that we concentrate more on quality as opposed to quantity.
Absolutely.
But of course, it's a fight for another day.
Yeah. What else came out of those engagements with Agriculture Minister Carla Shetwanya?
Well, those engagements, we raised the issue of people that are farming in corridors, the issue of generational farm workers, and Omaheke is basically farming area as opposed to maybe having an urban setup, which is basically on the Khobabes. So quite a number of our people do need land for farming, and they don't have. We have a lot of farms that got bought by government, and people were then dumped on the sideways by their former employers. And so the generational farm worker problem is still prevalent in Omaheke, and it's something that needs to be addressed. So we raised those concerns with the Honorable Minister that definitely we need that. And also that we need more other services like plowing services and so on, since we have also diversified our production now.
Governor, I would like to shift our attention to something that I know has been a real thorn in your flesh. I know it's something we spoke about earlier on in the year as well. I know it's something you've been very vocal about as far as the contributing factors to it as well. The issue of malnutrition in the country, specifically your region, that has seen a high number of deaths. I can't even put a number to it at this point in time. Perhaps you can help us with that. Talk to us about the issue of malnutrition in the Omaheke region. Where are we right now?
Now, the issue of malnutrition is, of course, not nice to talk about it, but it's one of those things that is happening in not only Omaheke region, but most probably some other parts of the country as well. But coming back to Omaheke, we can trace it back to the period of COVID, where Omaheke had the highest mortality rate of 7.2%, while the rest of the country was at 3%. Now, you must take into account that those people that have perished through COVID
were parents.
Were parents, were breadwinners, were people who contributed significantly to the economy, and we lost them. But then the beautiful thing that came out of COVID-19 is that we travel through the region, say we bring services to the people, we bring hope amidst COVID, and which was a very beautiful and successful campaign, which also brought us in contact with the real issues at hand, issues like hunger, issues like disability issues, service delivery in general, and actually contributed to our regional government being closer to the people that we are representing and that we are serving. Now, the issue of malnutrition, as I said, we only have one town, which is Khobabes, and the rest of Omaheke is rural. So a lot of people are flocking to this Khobabes town.
The urbanization is another issue for you, yes.
Urbanization, looking for employment, but there is no employment, looking for livelihood, there is no livelihood. And also the other social ills that come along, alcohol abuse, uncontrolled shebeens that are running from one morning to the next morning, parents also with limited knowledge in terms of taking care of their children, child neglect, and so on. So apart from hunger, which government is fighting very successfully.
There are so many contributing factors.
There are so many contributing factors, so many social contributing factors. There are people who are, this food that government is giving to people, buy them again from the people that should eat them. Yeah. So as much as we want to fight the issue of malnutrition, we also need a collective approach towards it. We need everybody to come on board and everybody to know that this is not my problem, it's our problem.
Absolutely.
So, but in terms of government intervention, we're giving food to 19,000 households in Omaheke. Yep. And this food is reaching the intended beneficiaries. Of course, there is that sector that misuses it by selling it. There is that sector that misuses it by not using it correctly. Yes. And there are also other challenges like the nutritional value of the food also. And we have interventions as a region. We're looking at issues like partnering with Head Start Kids, yes, who were also at the State of the Region address. They came all the way from South Africa.
Fantastic.
We went to them and then they came. And we had a meeting with the EDs here in Windhoek, rolling out the issue of micronutrients, which will prevent children from even reaching hospital. Yes. And we are talking to partners in the corporate world who also have to help us roll out these micronutrients. Yes. And as I speak, I'm appealing to the whole nation to also reach out their hand and not only talk about malnutrition and say, what can I do? Yeah. Governor, what's my part that I can bring?
100%.
But the reduction happened.
Yes.
We really went full out. When we raised the issue of malnutrition, it was not for political, whatever reason, it was for realizing a need that is there and an issue that needed to be addressed. Yep. And today, Omaheke can be regarded as a success story in terms of malnutrition reduction. Last year, 554 cases, yep, and only 13 deaths. Mm-hmm. This year, 318 cases and 4 deaths. So that's a reduction if you look at then where we were. Yep. But one life lost is already one too many lives. So we want to be happy the day when we say we have eradicated, yes, malnutrition. Absolutely. And we have interventions in place. Yep. We have the glass of milk per day for every child in Omaheke. Yes. We rolled out this program and it brought so much joy to the kids. Drinking a glass of milk, myself also, after a very long time, I could really taste how a glass of milk tastes. Mm-hmm. And we have Farm Nivehoop that we want to put up food systems there. Yep. We want to do pickery, we want to do poultry, we want to have greenhouses, and we want to do dairy. Very much. And there are young people who are heading to this call. There are 20 young people who are clearing the land voluntarily, who are giving their services. And when young people are responding, then you have hope for the future. Then you know people do listen. Absolutely.
Governor, I think, it's such a multifaceted problem initially already. And now you have a drought situation that's contributing to this malnutrition as well. Just how dire is it and how tricky is it, for you to really, nip the bud when it comes to this matter?
No, it's tricky, it's dire, it needs collective efforts, it needs everybody on board. And I'm very happy when you look to our slogan of Ubuntu, I am because you are.
Yes.
And how many commercial and communal farmers are coming to the table. The pigs that I'm speaking, for example, were donation by the owner of SPA, nice, Mr. Sybrand. 2 farmers pledged 10 dairy cows. Nice. And our friends in South Africa are also looking at enhancing these food systems that we want to embark upon. And of course, it's an issue that is calling every one of us to responsibility. For example, the Shabin owner, of course, there is a need to make money, yes, but we must make money within limits, yes, and responsibly and accountably. And we're pleading to people to stop selling alcohol beyond hours and stop selling alcohol to people who cannot take care of themselves. Absolutely. And stop exchanging food for alcohol. Mm-hmm. So it's a thing of consciousness, and we need to have hearts as Namibians. Very much. And need to complement and supplement government efforts and not actually lead to or helping to distract what government is trying to do.
Very much. Governor Nganate, of course, always a pleasure talking to you. Just as we conclude our discussion this morning, You have about 7 months left as governor, at least. We don't know what portfolio you'll get or where you'll end up next. But just reflecting or looking at, the following 7 months, what are amongst the priorities for you, and also how do you reflect on your time as regional governor of the Omaheke region?
Absolutely. 7 months it's a long time.
Yes.
And it's equally also a short time.
Yep.
But we have plans in place. Our plans are there. They are mapped out. We have things that we can look back to, like the innovation incubation village that we set up, our innovation kitchen. We're looking at farm neighborhood to really realize within the 7 months the food system, so that whoever comes after me can continue with this.
And by its name, giving you hope as well.
Giving me hope, neighborhood, yeah. And also when you look to our partnership with Head Start Kids, the rollout of micronutrients, it's one of the plans that we want to implement within the 7 months. Yeah, 7 months is a long time, and we're looking at the completion or half completion of the tar roads that have started. And of course, the tar road that is leading towards Hartap as well, that is also 50 kilometers away from completion.
Nice.
So we're looking back at a number of success stories, but we're looking back at the mammoth task ahead of us, so that at least we have laid a foundation and we have paved the way for whoever comes after us. If given the opportunity to serve further, we will not refuse it. But if given other assignments, we are here to serve this nation.
Absolutely. At this point in time, do you have any regrets, any perhaps wishes that you wanted to do differently or would have done differently, reflecting back on your time as governor right now?
I don't think I have regrets. I think I have become a governor just like our late president in the most challenging time, where you had these social issues to deal with, but it was issues that brought out the best out of myself and the staff around me.
Absolutely.
And also the people around me, the Omaheke people. And today, people do pick up a call, for example, before a State of the Region address and say, Governor, please talk about love, please talk about greeting each other. You know, those simple things that we did not pay attention to.
A very long way.
Yeah. So I don't have regrets. I regard myself as very, very fortunate and privileged to have been selected to serve as governor over such a diverse population and a very diverse also in problems and diverse also in developmental issues. And I will definitely sign off gladly when the day comes that I have to go and still contribute where I can contribute. So I don't have regrets. But of course, when you reflect at what could have happened and what did happen, there are quite a number of issues where you say, had I had enough resources, had I had whatever. But one successful thing is the partnership agreements that we had, also with Kobabes Toyota, giving us a car that is branded, fitting the region. The partnership with Zimbabwe, partnership with Botswana, and now South Africa. And of course, the partnership with yourself also, as NBC, you helping us, telling us our beautiful story. And all that I want to urge the Namibian population is that we should not exploit issues like malnutrition for political gain, but regard it as a concern and a genuine concern that we all have to embrace each other and take each other's hands and move forward towards a more sustained economy and a region that is food secured.
Very much.
And we look at food security and we can really say the footprints are there.
Governor, you have steered the Omaheke ship through economic recessions, you've prolonged the drought, you've been through the pandemic, you're now going through, of course, malnutrition as well. We wish you all the best and thank you so much for being with us here and giving us an update of the events and activities there in your region. Thank you.
And if you were in the party that I belong, then you would have said you have been tested and tried. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
There you have it, Regional Governor of the Omaheke region, Pio Nganate, just giving us an update of what's transpiring there in the Omaheke region. Of course, you would know that there's a prolonged drought that's severely impacting farmers and residents alike in that part of the country, and of course also contributing to the issue of malnutrition, which has really been rampant in that part of the country. But as you heard from the governor, we are making progress. Of course, out of 384 cases, or 318 cases, pardon me, only 4 deaths have been accounted with that regard, and continued efforts continue in the meantime to, of course, address these issues and ensure that they do not spread further, in that part of the country. Do stay with us. We'll be back in a bit.